I hereby call to order this meeting of the King George County Service Authority Board of Directors. We will lead off with the invocation by Ms. Bender, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Weekly. Please stand as you are able.
Please, Lord, grant us guidance to make the right decisions for all of the residents of King George County. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Weekly, are there any amendments to the agenda, sir?
No amendments, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor for public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person in order to afford everyone an opportunity to speak. If comments relate to a specific public hearing item, we ask that you offer those comments at the time of the public hearing. Is there anyone here in the boardroom who wishes to speak? Seeing no one, Mr. Dines, do we have anyone online who wishes to provide public comment for the Service Authority Board of Directors? Thank you, sir. I'll now close public comment. We'll move on to reports of members of the board. Mr. Parker, would you like to start us off?
No report, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
No report, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Bender?
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Cleveland? No report. Thank you. And I have no report. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Report from the county attorney, Mr. Britton.
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. Skipping down, our next slot is action items. Adoption of fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Mr. Weekly, would you like to lead us off?
So, Madam Chair, the action items 06-12 and 06-13, Ms. Hahn, the Finance Director, will cover those portions.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Ms. Hahn, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I come before you tonight for the adoption of the fiscal year 2021-2022 King George County Service Authority operating and capital budgets. I recommend that you adopt the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget in the amount of $7,075,115, and the breakdown was included in your board packet.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have questions from members of the board first? Any questions? I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt the 2021-2022 King George County Service Authority operating and capital budget in the amount of $7,075,115.
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Parker? Mr. Morris? Ms. Bender? Ms. Cleveland? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Next item, appropriation of fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
Thank you. I ask before you tonight to adopt resolution as presented in your board packet for the appropriation of the fiscal year 2021-2022 King George County Service Authority operating and capital budget.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Any questions from directors? I'd ask for a motion, please.
I make a motion we adopt the appropriation of the fiscal year 2021 through 2022 King George County Service Authority capital and operating budget.
Second.
So can I make a friendly amendment? Can we rephrase that, adopt the resolution as presented, just so we have the legal wording correct?
Okay. I make a motion we adopt the resolution for appropriation of the fiscal year 2021 through 2022 King George County Service Authority operating and capital budget.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. All right, Mr. Weekly, are you going to take us through adoption of fiscal year 22 rates and regulation amendments?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Dines can put the regulations up. When we print those, it's the clean copy. It's been through legal. So you have to adopt, because rates are part of policy. So the updates that we have, we're recommending the adoption of the FY 22 rates and regulation amendments as presented. Just a quick summary that covers the cover page, which shows a June 15th date, and then section 30, which is our rates. As you recall, we're on a 5-year rate plan. So the rates that will be effective July 1 have been updated in section 30. So I'm asking again for the adoption of the FY 22 rates and regulation amendments as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Questions from directors? No? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt the fiscal year 2022 rates and regulation amendments as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Let's move on to your general manager's report, sir.
Madam Chair, apologize for interrupting. There was one matter that wasn't on the agenda that we discussed at the agenda meeting. It's the Hop Yard deed of dedication, vacation, and easement, which requires to be signed by the chair of both boards. Heather is coming to, if there are any questions, I've reviewed it, and these are routine. You've signed a bunch of them, as you know, regarding Hop Yards and other subdivisions and rezonings have bunch of easements to do things, access easements and what have you. We reviewed these. These are accurate. It does require a motion and a vote to authorize you to sign it. I did note there is one matter as to form one of the trustees of the, this is, by the way, tax map number 23-3-A4 and 31-1B-A-7. It's the deed of subdivisions, dedication, vacation, and easement. It is in proper form. I did note that one of the trustees,
David Peterson.
yes, has not signed. That will be an issue at the board meeting, at the Board of Supervisors meeting as well. However, you could make a motion to sign it, to authorize the chair to sign it once all of the other parties have signed. I could go through this if you want. This board doesn't have the benefit of having the Heather here, but we have signed many of these, and it's in proper form. Both two people from community development have gone through it to make sure that we have all of the correct references and that what's being vacated is correct and what's being given is correct as well. And they file these from time to time as subdivisions are built out into different sections.
And I know I signed another one earlier in the year.
Two, yes, you've
Yeah.
signed two other ones.
So,
Or you signed one and we had to fix it later. Yes,
would you, there we go.
I mean, we have time, if you wanted to have the, presented to the board and then have Ms. Hall come back at your next meeting, on July 2nd as well, in case there were any questions. And I know this wasn't presented to the whole board for some reason. I guess that didn't get in on our agenda meeting to put it on both, but, we
Yeah.
could do that, and get the other guy to sign it on his end. Maybe that's a better way, and then the Board of Supervisors can go ahead and vote on it this time around with Ms. Hall there, and we can resend it out since we need this fella to sign it. So what would happen would be you sign it in front of a notary, Travis attests as clerk, but in this case, what would happen would be we have to tell General Counsel Norair that he's got to pick it up, get it to his guy, first sign it, and then get it back to us. So that would take a week in any event.
So for this board, what do you recommend we do tonight?
If the board is comfortable making a motion to execute this, to allow the chair to execute the deed of subdivision, dedication, vacation, and easement regarding the tax map numbers on Hop Yard that I just stated. You pending or conditioned upon being fully executed by the trustees, then we can do that. The other thing is you can just pass it over, let the board decide, and then bring it back
To this board at the
to
next
this
meeting.
board on July the.
July 13th. Does that allow sufficient time to,
That I don't know.
okay.
I don't know whether
so-
they're trying to record this within a period. That's what
Right,
happened last
that's
time.
why
if
I'm
you
asking. Yep,
recall. You had
yep,
to
I
rush
do
in
remember that. Yep,
or 45 or something from your,
yes.
yes, you had to cancel something, I recall, to get it signed.
Okay.
Or maybe the one before that, Ms. Bender had to come in early in the morning as vice chair and sign or something. I can't remember. Or you signed for her or something.
Yes.
That's what happened.
So I will see what consensus of the board is. If, I would just note, if you all do decide that you're comfortable with moving forward with this evening, I have pulled it up from the Board of Supervisors packet. So we will have it in front of us so that we read the proper name of the document. So Mr. Parker, I'm going to defer to you first because this is your district.
These are pretty common in my field of work, so I don't really have a problem with it.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
I think we can go ahead and you can sign it once it's ready on Hop Yard's end.
Okay, Ms. Bender?
I'm fine.
Ms. Cleveland?
I'm fine with it.
All right, and I too am all right with moving forward. So I can hand this to, or we could have Mr. Britton repeat what one would state in a motion, and then someone can so move if that would be easier.
If there were to be a motion, Madam Chair, I would suggest the motion be to authorize the chair to execute the deed of subdivision, dedication, vacation, and easement on behalf of the King George County Service Authority regarding the Hop Yard Homeowners Association, Payne Street LLC, David Peterson and Scott Ritter trustees, and United Bank tax map numbers 23-3-A4 and 31-1B-A-7 as presented, conditioned upon full execution by the other signatories.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries. And for the record, Mr. Britton, should we actually reflect this as part of your report from the county attorney
That's
as
fine,
it gets
Madam Chair.
recorded in
Yes.
the minutes? Thank you.
Yes, and then we can import the, I don't know if we can, Chris can do that, but we can put a copy of this into the minutes.
Very good, thank you. All right, general manager's report, Mr. Weekly.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Some general water information. Some of this is carryover. Hop Yard Farms, the communication cable issue has been resolved. There was unfortunately a short period of time of some pressure interruption, which had to do with the contractor doing some programming during that. But that was small-lived, and we've got the long-term solution was a cable replacement. Just an update, because I know we're kind of tracking the Potomac Landing project. I made a look and see if I need to change that. They're calling Potomac Overlook or Potomac Landing, but it is the 84 lot by right development. Last I reported, VDH was going to come out on 6/14 for a well lot site visit. They did that yesterday, so they will go back and any comments they will reissue that to the developers rep and us. Assuming this well lot is suitable and it meets state standards, the Service Authority will look to file a modified permit application because you're siting a new well, so you have to account for that. We have water, and we have the increase that I spoke of with the approved water conservation and management plan. So this is the next step. There is a draft service agreement that Mr. Lemming, who is the attorney for Mr. Taylor, sent over. I'm currently reviewing that, and we'll also send that to Matt along with my comments So that's where we're at in the process for that development. Attended a agency update meeting with BDH. So after Mr. Meyer left the well lot, he came by the Service Authority. We usually have either every 6 months or 12 months. It's kind of a update check on how's the Service Authority doing. So we've had this very long list on DEQ side. We have this very long list on BDH side that we have been working on. So this was more of an update meeting. All in all, Mr. Meyer reported that he is satisfied with the progress that we're making towards system improvement. So that's good news. When he posts or gives us the minutes from our meeting, it's not as official as this, I will share that so you can see his notes verbatim. Some continuing water information in the process of issuing an RFP for advanced metering infrastructure that is known as the AMI. It's a meter program. I want to be clear, this is not my attempt to get ahead of the board of directors. This will be as a recommendation in the upcoming CIP cycle. So an RFP, which is a request for proposal, is in my purview. That allows us to put out specifications and obtain a proposal. I do not have authority, nor would I commit funding to this. So this is kind of getting the ducks in a row, if you will. So if you approve this project in your CIP, and then you would have to move to funding, this RFP will be sitting there as a recommendation. So that should be going live very soon. Submitted to certification. There are various things that's required as a water operator and owner. A risk and resilience assessment required by EPA. So they're looking at things such as what is your risk exposure for physical risk? So that's site-oriented in IT. I want to thank Ms. Hahn and Mr. Dines for attending that meeting and providing that information. We have limited risks because quite frankly, we're not as connected. So sometimes there are some advantages of your systems not being, say, connected to various servers and cloud-based. But what we do have, we feel is locked down pretty tight, wouldn't you say, Mr. Dines? I'm putting you on record for that. All right, general wastewater information. We filled 2 vacant wastewater operator positions. One operator will start on the 21st, and the other starts on June 28th. And then we are interviewing for the wastewater management manager position this week. So that's the next interview in place. We did report 2 sanitary sewer overflows in your hard copy. I misspelled 2, I apologize. There were 2 events, one at the Perkins wastewater plant. There was a manhole, and then the 10th Street pump station at Dahlgren. Simply, we could not keep up. I know we had a conversation earlier, Madam Chair. I used the National Weather Services data. They reported at least 10 inches, but we do believe it was more in that area. And we weren't the only ones. We saw Westmoreland and other counties that had issues. In your low-lying area, sewer usually runs in unfavorable land, such as ditch lines and so forth. So that was to be expected. But I will tell you, in years past, having 2 events versus 10 or 15 that we've had in the past during heavy rainfall is progress. Some other information. Some of you sit on the Board of Supervisors, so you're aware of this, but earlier this month, the Board of Supervisors lifted the local declared emergency. Therefore, per the regulation that the Board of Directors approved last year, the Service Authority will resume service disconnection and apply late fees starting in July. That notice has been given on a variety of websites, the counties, the service authorities. It'll be on the bills that go out this cycle. And when those billing cycles get ready to occur, we will also issue KG alerts. But we realize not, I'd probably say maybe 25% of our customer base are KG alert subscriptions. So we'll do that in addition to all this notification. And I believe all members of the board were sent the link to get to that site that has the letter subscribing to this. But basically, the local declared emergency is lifted, which takes away the suspension of service disconnections and the waiver of late fees. So that starts back in July. What's not in my report, but I want to bring to the board's attention, and you have an email on this earlier this afternoon. I received an email alert from Mr. Stewart, who's the water compliance manager for the Northern Virginia Office of DEQ forwarded an email that was shared with them from Virginia Department of Health. The Virginia Department of Health Division of Shellfish Safety announced today that a portion, I'm just going to read this verbatim and I'll explain what it means for us, that a portion of Moreau Bay as well as a portion of Rosier Creek found in either Westmoreland and or King George counties is temporarily closed to shellfish harvesting due to a sewage bypass impacting water quality in these tributaries. Due to potential microbiological pollution hazards, shellfish taken from the area affected by the emergency closure are currently unacceptable for consumption. The temporary emergency closure is effective Monday, June 14th, 2021, and is scheduled to reopen effective Monday, July 5th, 2021. I emailed back to DEQ thanking them for the information. However, I wanted some clarity because it says a sewage bypass. We know none of our facilities had a sewage bypass. I wanted clarity of where did that occur? Did that occur in King George County? Because a board member should know about that. Citizens have questions. We should know about that. I have not received that clarification yet. I can speak to you as a general manager, that bypass did not come from a King George County Service Authority treatment works. So that's the information, Madam Chair and members of the board, that I have. I realize that's hit social media. There's a link that was given in that email I shared with you all this evening. There's a map and a report of each of the affected areas. That's part of the Division of Shellfish Safety and Home. We can certainly get that link up on the webpage for if you think it's beneficial, but just for clarity, this bypass was not a service authority facility. We do not know where this bypass occurred. We were given this information by DEQ. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Questions from directors? Any questions? Mr. Morris?
Mr. Weekly, in regards to the emergency ending, at one point we had assistance funds available. Was that, I know we used some of it. Did we use it all up, or is there some left, or where are we going with that?
I believe around 40,000 remaining. So staff is looking, and they actively do, but we try to do this in rounds so we don't send one or two up because that has to go through Ms. Hahn's office because they're the fiscal agent, the county's the oversight. But I think there's roughly 40,000 remaining of the 210,000 received. I believe the timeline to turn that back in, if you haven't exhausted, is December. We plan on using all those funds. It's looking at their account balance. There are things that qualify them, but they also have to fill out a customer attestation form that demonstrates hardship. We can't do that. We can't look at an account and say, oh, you know, you're $1,200 past due. You know, we like to help folks, but they have to go through the process. Customers, as we reported in past meeting, they can apply for a second round if they've received a first round. They just have to fill out a new form. We can't use the original form. But all that information is kept in a binder. We have a spreadsheet file, and that information is actively shared with the finance department. We did apply for some remaining funds the state made us aware of. I think there was around 280-some thousand of unclaimed monies. We said, oh, we'll try to claim it. We were denied, probably because we have a remaining balance, but we were told earlier on that localities will have a difficult time expending all the money. So we're trying to expend all that. There is, I think, a 5% threshold that's allowed for staff time. So our idea is we'll try to get as much out as we can to the customer. If there's some left, then we'll take advantage of that staff allotment that's in that funding regulation.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Bender? Ms. Cleveland? All right. I just want to thank you. When I called you today and said, hey, have you seen this press release from Westmoreland County saying it may also be in King George County? You were already on it, working on it, had already made the inquiry, so I appreciate you being on top of that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Madam Chair.
And I wanted to thank your staff for coming out and joining us this evening. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn until July 13th, 2021 at 5:30 PM here in the boardroom.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We are adjourned.